So this is week number 6 at Journal52.com. So as you can see, we're back to the feather motif again, and the word for the week is dream. So the prompts that have been provided are a series of thoughts, visions or feelings that happen during sleep, an idea or vision that is created in your imagination, something that you have wanted very much to do, be, or have for a very long time. So synonyms: reverie, vision, fantasy, fancy, idea. Prompt: journal about a long-held dream. Use dream imagery in your journal. And oracle: what are you dreaming about lately? What dreams should be tended to? What dreams are ready to be let go of? That's a nice one. I don't tend to dream. I know it sounds strange, but I never remember my dreams. So that's not really going to be an option for me, but I like the idea of using dream imagery in my journal. Now, I have recently been sent a stencil stencil and mask combo from Indigo Blue. So mask, stencil, either way, left, right, mask, stencil kind of shape, which I think I'm going to incorporate into my art journal page for this, but I think I'm also, now he says trying to find what he did with it, because I've probably put it on, I have put it away. Now then, I've also got, now I recently did the sunrise stencil, which was this one. You can't really see that, can you? There we go, there's the sunrise stencil. Now, at the same time, I had a moon one prototyped as well, and this is the moon one. So this isn't ready for sale just yet. So, but with this one, you also get the mask that comes out of the hole. So you can create a corona around the moon. You've got the moon shape, and then you have the crater pattern that fits exactly into the moon shape. So you've also got those 3 components that you can use for the moon, but you've also got an array of stars too. So I think I'm going to have a play and try and combine both of these stencils into an art journal page for the Journal 52 week 6 prompt of dream. So I'm working on an 8x8 piece of watercolour card, and I'm using the matte collage Pauge from Aleene's. And I'm going to stick down some tissue paper that was sent to me recently in a piece of Happy Mail from Cindy Utter. Now I believe, I could be wrong, but this could be 7 Gypsies. It's a Canvas Core brand tissue paper. It's not quite big enough to fit the entire of the page, so I've had to take some small slivers for top and bottom just to fill those gaps. So nothing startling to start off with. I'm literally just covering the entire of my watercolour card with that tissue paper. I love the numbers, I love the layout, so I wanted that in my background. Now, the stencil obviously is only about 6 inches. Now my page is 8. So if I lay the stencil down at the bottom there, I'm going to have a break where that stencil just stops dead. So what I've done is I've just continued on the circle, and I've just stuck a post-it, a sticky note, over the top, and then just continued the shape, and then I've just cut it with a pair of scissors so that I can create a full mask shape, so that when I do pop it down onto my page and line it up, I've got then a full head, if you like, and it doesn't just stop dead. So that's why I've done that. So that's my next step. To start with, I've grabbed my Cosmetic sponges and some raw umber and some burnt umber. These are new colours for me. I only purchased these very recently. And I'm going to create the outline by going around the mask on my page, and then I'm going to bring the colour into the rest of the page. So I am going to cover the entire of the page in the brown paint, but I will be adding paint on and then taking it away again. So as I usually do with a baby wipe, but building up the layers so that it's not completely matte or flat, so that there is lots of texture in there, by adding the mottling, by dabbing with that cosmetic sponge to create that texture rather than a flat matte background. And of course, between applications of paint and removing paint and then applying paint again, I am going to use my heat gun to dry in between each step, because you really don't want to be trying to mix or remove until you know that you're not going to get any blending or you get your elbow or your hand stuck in it. So I'm gradually adding the darker colour. This is the burnt sienna, sorry, the burnt umber now. And I'm just adding in those darker areas around the outside, and then I will bring the paint into the centre of the page, and then I'll start adding the paint around the silhouette of my lady's head. It's kind of a repetitive process, but it's one of those that you have to do just with those dabbing motions, otherwise you will get a flat effect. So the more you dab, the more of a textured and mottled background you will get. Next up comes my prototype Lunar stencil. So I'm going to use just the circle shape to start off with. I'm going to mask off the rest of the holes because I don't want to get any paint going through those. And it's just in case. I could be very, very careful, but you know, sometimes I do splash paint around a bit. So just to be on the safe side, I've just covered off those parts of the stencil I don't want to use. And then again, using a cosmetic sponge that I'm just dragging out of my drawers because I didn't get enough, I'm just going to grab a couple for next time and then just mix the paint into the sponge, or push the paint into the sponge on my craft mat and then go around. Again, I'm dabbing. I'm not going very, very heavy. I want to build up those layers, build up the colour in small amounts, because I don't want to get, and I keep saying this, the more you do this, the more of a mottled kind of textured effect you will get. The harder you go, the more a flat matte effect you'll get, and you don't, well, unless that's what you're going for, then that's okay. So I've built up the colour layers now, and I'm happy with the way the moon base looks, but I'm going to clean off the stencil. This is still a prototype, and I don't want to get it too gunked up just yet. I don't necessarily clean my stencils after every use. I know I should do, but I'm just lazy. But because this is a brand new one and it's still a prototype, I just want to look after it a little bit. And I will be using it again in a little while, so that's one of the reasons why I've cleaned it. So I'm just going to give that a quick blast, and then we can add the next layer to the moon. So all I'm going to do, as you can see, I've just laid the texture or the crater pattern over the top of the circle that we've already done. Now, because the stencil is see-through, you can see where you're going, so it makes it really easy to line the patterns up. And then I'm using the burnt umber with the cosmetic sponge, and I'm going to put it through the stencil to create that lovely crater effect on my moon. But there's some really nice fine detail on this stencil, and as you'll see, because I've used the sponge, it's not always gone through. It's just those little lines in the bottom right hand section of the moon. I'm just trying to have another go to see if I can get it to go through, but because I'm using a sponge which is flat, bearing in mind there's no bristles, so that fine detail won't go through. So I'm just going to grab a quick fine detail brush, and just using some of the paint that's left over, I'm just going to add those in with a fine detail brush. After heat setting that, I'm now going to lay the circle mask over the top of the moon, and again, because it's see-through, you can see where you're going. And I'm going to grab some yellow ochre paint and some titanium white, and I'm just going to mix a small amount of that on my craft mat with the cosmetic sponge that I used earlier, and I'm going to create a kind of hazy corona, kind of like a halo effect around the moon. And as you can see, I'm dabbing quite lightly so that I can blend and fade away that paint from around the stencil. So I've not gone too heavy, and I am dabbing into the page, so it's just gradually blending that colour around to make it a little bit more more translucent and a little bit more faded into the background. And there you go. So next I'm going to cover it back up again, and then I'm going to bring back the mask from the lady's head, and I'm going to lay that back down on the page. What's left of the white and yellow ochre paint I'm going to mix together with a spritz of water on my craft mat, and then grab my fan brush. I'm not quite happy that that's as bright as it should be, but I'm going to splatter that kind of yellow ochre paint, the light yellow ochre paint, into the background to create some stars. And then I'm going to grab the titanium white again, and then I'm going to do a second layer of brighter white stars. And because I've made a complete mess, I now need to clean my craft mat completely, so I'm going to get rid of all that excess paint from off the glass and make sure there's no danger of me getting my elbows or paint or my fingers in there. And then I'm going to remove, very, very carefully, remove the masks. Now, as I do that, I do get a little bit of paint down at the bottom. So just using a small detail brush, I'm just going to lift it off very, very gently. There we go. You can't tell now. I need to heat set that before I can do anything else. So I'll just give it a quick once over with the heat gun, and then we can move on. Next, I want to create a little bit of balance over on the silhouette, the lady's silhouette. So I'm grabbing some titanium white paint, then I'm going to bring back, or I'm going to bring the other side of the stencil. And this time I'm going to apply a thin layer of white paint on the inside of the silhouette shape. Now this will act as a kind of highlight. So it will look as though the moonlight is reflecting onto her face. Or at least I'm hoping it will do. Well, that seems to have done the trick. So all I need to do now is just to carry that white around the top part of her head. So I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. So I'm just adding a few more details just to deepen that white kind of reflection on the top part of the head. And then it's time to start adding our journaling, or for me to start adding my journaling, I should say. So to add the journaling to my page, as you can see, I have left a space in the bottom left-hand side of the page. So I'm going to bring out my Signo Opaque white Rollerball pen from the Mislubishi Pencil Co. And I'm also going to be using my clear acrylic journaling block from Dylusions. Now I'm going to just lay the journaling block onto the page, and then using that I'm going to write out my phrase for my page, just using the pen. Now obviously I'm going over paint and I'm also going over tissue, so it is slightly textured and it won't be totally smooth. So I know no matter how I try, I'm never going to get the writing perfect. So that's okay, because you can go back again later once you've added all your journaling and make your lines slightly thicker if you want to, which is what I end up doing after I've done the initial lettering. So I've got my initial letters down there. I'm going to make sure that they're completely dry before I go back over the top once again. Now the Signo pen is one of those that you have to keep making sure that the ink is flowing, which is why I keep dabbing it on the back of my hand. You can see me just drawing lines on the back of my hand just to get the ink flowing again. Okay, I'm now happy with the lettering. It doesn't have to be perfect, it is an art journal after all. So I'm just going to add a few more white dots around the page just to kind of integrate the writing a little bit more into the rest of the page, so that some of those stars also come down below the writing. And then I think I'm going to call it a day. I'm done. All I need to do is just to sign it and date it, and I'm calling this page done. So that is week number 6 from Journal 52. Don't forget, if you want the prompt sheet, you can find that on my website, and my website link is in the description area below. That's all from me for now. If you've enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with all your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button right at the very end of this video. I just want to say a quick thank you to all of my angels. Without you, this video would not have been possible. Thank you. That's all from me. I'll see you all again real soon. Bye for now.